I just got back from Con of Heroes and I am so excited to talk about it. If you are not aware of what Con of Heroes is, it is a Marvel Champions convention where people gather together at the Game Center in Roseville, Minnesota, which is right across the parking lot from the Fantasy Flight headquarters, to play Marvel Champions for like 4 days straight. And it is just as awesome as it sounds. So many fantastic people gathering and playing this game, and I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. I am exhausted right now, and so if I sound exhausted or if I look exhausted, I am. That is very true because it was a lot of driving. We did like 12 hours to get there, 11, 12 hours to get there. Very, very little sleep because if you sleep, you're not playing Marvel Champions, and so less sleep creates more Marvel Champions just the way that I like it. And I played a lot of Champions. It was a ton of fun. There were structured events, there were free play time slots that we got to play, and pretty much you just walk around and sit down and play with a lot of groups. I got my playmat signed by everyone that I played with, and so let's see, yeah, that's showing up well. And it's just a blast. It's so fun. I ran like 8 different decks. Well, I brought 8 decks, and all of them I think were a lot of fun. There were a couple of them that didn't work as well as I wanted them to, but I think the standout one was actually like I brought a rogue deck, and I've played very little rogue in multiplayer, and she is so much fun. I was like using the superpower adaptation, which is the card where you can go grab something from a discard pile, an event from a discard pile, and I was like using that to play Master of the Mystic Arts to like use the invocation deck that Doctor Strange was at the table. You can use it to like grab Thunderbolt from Storm. There's just like so many like really interesting interactions that you can use to use her like touched ability to like that you just can't do in true solo. And so Rogue was awesome. I brought like a Storm deck, which was a 50 card technically leadership deck, but it only had Uncanny X-Men. That was the only leadership card in it, and it was like a very like flippy Storm where I was going down, triggering like Cerebro and Weapon X and all of these things to just get out allies. It was a blast. It was fantastic. We got to do like a lot of structured events. I'm going to talk about those. We had a panel from some of the Fantasy Flight or the Marvel Champions design team. I'm gonna talk about that. But yeah, you got to do some like shorts. I've done like the guess the card shorts in the past. I did a couple of other different games as well with some of the attendees. I'm gonna be editing those and putting them up soon on the channel. We had like a bingo thing where like as you were playing with other people, you got to like if I played with a Venom, I could have someone sign that the spots were the heroes. I am exhausted. I am sorry. But the spots were like the heroes. So if I'm like, I need to play with a Venom. And so you would go around, and if you played with a Venom, they would sign their name. And if you got bingo, you went and found and you got like a little promo. There were like door prizes, which were really fun. Food trucks. Like in the past, this is my 4th year going. It's been going on for 4 years, and it just continuously gets better every single time. Just the organization, the events, everything. Just awesome job from the organizers. I think one of the biggest improvements this year is that we had food trucks at the game center right outside, because in the past we've had to like go off site to get food, and we were just able to walk right out the door, get food, come right back in, and like not miss a beat playing any Marvel Champions. And so that was just like a really nice elevated experience, being able to not take time away from playing to go get food, which was just it was so good. And yeah, we got like promos. So there were promos being handed out by a ton of different people, and like Winning Hand podcast, Boom Guy from the Winning Hand podcast was handing out like promo packs that they had made. And so when you checked in, you got like your swag bag, your all of this stuff, your the custom content that was printed for all of the events that we did. Boom Guy was also handing out like promo packs of promos that he had made, and then I think they came with like 5, and like here's a couple of them. I think I'm gonna show them off in like shorts or something. But he had made, there were like 5, and you would trade around to find the promos that you wanted, and the promos look absolutely slick. They are so much they just look awesome. It's always a fantastic experience, and it just like it's so fun to go and just see people and play with people, and like most of the people I played with I had never met before, and so meeting new people and just like seeing how they approach the game and getting to watch like really fun like spider decks, and it's like, oh, I would have never thought to play that way, and just like the community around the game, the community at the convention was just absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about some of the events because they were really cool. So on day one, we started out with the first like structured event. Well, actually, the first game that I played, I drove up with a couple of friends and we stopped around Madison, Wisconsin, and at a hotel, and we like got in super late, and we're like, want to get a game, and so like we went to like the breakfast area and played a game there. But the first structured event that we played was using the Thunderbolt modular sets, or the Thunderbolt scenario, Citizen V scenario, but instead of choosing Thunderbolt minions, we used our Nemesis minions and shuffled the Nemesis sets into the encounter deck. And so, like, I ran Nightcrawler, which was a horrible idea for that because Azazel comes in and quick strikes whenever he engages anyone, and that was just mean because not only were they just normal minions, they got like plus 10 hit points, they got villainous. Yeah, the table was not super happy with me. That was a fun one, and it was a really cool way to do it. I think that like very seamless, just like using those Nemesis sets as modular sets in the Thunderbolt scenario, modifying the stats a little bit, and it was all it was really really well done and well designed. Fun story on the first turn. We were playing standard 3. On the first turn, we drew a formidable foe. I think that's the card. The one from the standard 3 encounter set that normally places 3 counters on Pursuit by the Past. But actually how it reads is that you every Nemesis minion in play attacks you. Or if there's no Nemesis in play, you place 3 counters. Turn 1, we had 4 Nemesis minions in play because they start in play and they have Villainous. And so it was like 4 attacks with Villainous on one player. It was brutal. They survived. It was awesome. Yeah, it was a great way to kick it off. Right after that, we had a Fantasy Flight developer panel where Tony, Frank, and Aaron, the developers of the game, answered questions about the game, talked about the design, not really like upcoming products. We kind of tried to tease it out a little bit, and we did get a little bit of a tease about a new product type that is coming out. Not too much information about what this is yet, but they said that after this next box that's coming out, after the next wave, we also got the hint that Michael Boggs had designed something that's coming out soon, which is really cool. But after this next wave, we're going to get a new product type that they described as not a hero pack, not a campaign pack, and not a scenario pack. And so I am like super interested to see what that type or what that product is going to be. I've got a couple of theories, but I want to hear what you think. What do you think that a new product type for Marvel Champions could be? Drop it down in the comments because I'm like, my mind is just spinning because I'm like, ooh, that could be so interesting. But it's really cool to hear them talk about the game to a room full of just like highly, highly dedicated players. And like you could just tell that the room was just so like focused and excited to hear them talk about the game that, they designed that we love. So that was just awesome. After that, we did like a Spider-Verse Carnage massive multiplayer event where like every single table was part of a overall goal to kind of take out Carnage. And what I will say right now, because I forgot to say it earlier, is that all of the custom content is online. I'm going to drop that link down below. So if you're curious about if you want to go grab Carnage or the Flying High modular set, Grounded modular set, the different modular sets that they made for the con, you can go online, print them out, and play with them. They are available to do that. Anyways, back into the Carnage event. This was massive multiplayer, and so you had things that would affect other games going on in the room. And so when you have like all of the players in this giant room playing an event that could, place counters, have affect other people's tables, bring out Spider-Man in different games going on around you. It was very fun. You were basically like adding these cultist counters to the Great Web, which was like this communal resource. And after it reaches a certain amount, we're going to progress to stage 2A, where we're going to start playing we're going to start like getting these like custom allies, these Web Warrior allies that came in. It was from like another custom modular set that they had done. And you and then we had to deal like I think it was over 2,000 damage because I think it was like 20 damage per player that we had to deal to Carnage. And so as we were just like kind of dealing damage to him, Kennedy Hawk would come around and ask like, how much damage have you done? And we're like, we've done not as much as we probably should have been doing. And we would tell him and then reset our hit dial. And then we would get periodic updates on like, okay, we have 1,000 damage left to go. And so like, we're kind of taking turns just swinging on Carnage. Also, like randomly, the random thought, because that's where my mind is at right now, but the art on the custom stuff this year was really cool. I especially like Spider-Man Noir, the custom ally from that set that you could pull in by using like these web counters. Very clean looking. The art on the custom stuff was great. In that scenario, I played a Nebula deck, which was really fun. It's a Nebula deck that's focused on Cutthroat Ambition, which gives all of her attacks overkill and piercing. And then it's a hone technique follow through. So you're taking out these minions, and every single time you deal overkill damage with any ally or with any event, right? Like, so I was running like melee. It was like 3 and 3. Hone technique, it's 6 and 6. So though that attack now has overkill, and so you can hit like two minions and overkill twice, follow through triggers twice, which was awesome. It was really, really cool. The deck I've tried before, it didn't really work, but we did get a ally that was like flipping every once in a while. So like it was a symbiote ally that would be an ally, and then whenever it died, it would flip over to like the enemy side, and then when you defeat that, it would flip back to the ally side. And there were 4 of them, so every player had a custom one. Mine could pull the top card back to my hand. And so I was able to use him to recur Cutthroat Ambition to keep that overkill online, and that's, I think, the saving grace of the deck. I still don't know if it worked without that. I tried it. It worked better when I was able to just recur Cutthroat Ambition, but that was a lot of fun. It was really cool to just kind of like walk around and play with other people. And just that evening I did it wasn't like a structured event, but beforehand I had set up with a couple of other players. We did a Black Widow game where all 4 of us played Black Widow in a different aspect versus Black Widow. And then the protection Black Widow did play Black Widow, and so at one point we had 6 Black Widows on the table, and you just like look at the table, and Black Widow builds out a lot, right? And there's so many cards on this table; they're just everywhere. That was a blast. We played until the wee hours of the morning back at the hotel, and at the hotel we had like a conference room that they had set up where you could go back after the game center closed and just play more Marvel Champions. It was just such a fantastic setup there. Day 2, we started a campaign with different like symbiote suits where they attach to the villain, and it's like the campaign attachment had like a bad effect, a really, really bad effect, like a amplify and I think it was an acceleration. It may have been a hazard. May have been an amplify and a hazard. Just horrible effects. But whenever you beat the scenario, then it flipped over and it was a benefit. It was like you could get plus attack, and then you could pass these symbiote suits around, like the symbiote was jumping to different heroes, and you could play like 2 to 4 different campaign or scenarios through the campaign. We ended up doing 2. We did Sinister 6, and the attachment that we had, we just played it as an environment because there's multiple different villains entering and leaving play, where whenever they initiate an attack, you deal 2 indirect damage to that player that's being attacked, and then any ally that's damaged by that indirect damage gets exhausted. And so you have to take the indirect damage if you're going to use an ally to chump block, because then they're exhausted. And it was brutal. It was really fun. It was tough. And it was a slog, but we pulled it out. Next time we played Sandman, it was an amplify, and we immediately lost, and we scooped up, and then we switched out the scenario or the environment, the attachment, and tried it again and got to win that one. After that, we did a Loki massive multiplayer event. Now this one was not put on by the con folks, but this is a custom scenario made by the Rose of Gondolin. The links to those assets are also gonna be in the video description. And this was one of my favorite things about the con, one of my favorite events at the con, because this was another one of those massive multiplayer events. And what it was kind of based off the Loki scenario, but instead of running Loki as the villain, they got a list of all of the heroes that were being played in the entirety of the multiverse scenario. And the Rose of Gondolin had created villain versions of all those heroes. And you got 4 of the villains, and you like randomly dealt to you, and you would flip them up, and that was the version of Loki. And then anytime it told you to swap Lokis, you'd switch to a different one. But the villains were so well designed. Like the Storm one, they always kind of like resembled the hero as like a villain type situation. The Storm one, like based on how many counters it had, would be a representation of like the Storm deck or the Weather deck. And so like if you had 0 counters, I think it was everyone gained Stalwart. I don't quite remember. But whenever Storm attacked, you added a counter, and whenever Storm schemed, you removed a counter. And so the weather was always changing. Rogue was really cool, where like at the beginning of the villain phase, you flip the next card face up, and she had the text box of the another villain. And if you had like something that was like really messing with you, like Spider-Ham, the first time you attacked Spider-Ham, or the first character that attacked Spider-Ham each turn became confused. And so another table was struggling against Spider-Ham, and there was a method in which you could go and swap the villain with another table. And so if like Spider-Ham just like hard countered what you were doing, you could go and swap it out for a different or whatever you go swap it out for the villain that another table was fighting, which was really cool. And then whenever like you defeated a villain, like if you defeated Spider-Ham, whoever was playing Spider-Ham in the event got to like draw 2 extra cards, because it was like a TVA themed scenario. And so like whenever you took out like your variant, or somebody took out your variant, you got to benefit with that. I ran like a Thor Justice, or I ran a Thor Aggression build, and another player was running like the new Raft card from Shuri's pack? Yes, Shuri's pack, where you could send minions that were defeated to the Raft, and after you had 4, they kicked it back out to me. And so after a while, they were just feeding me minions every turn, which was just a really fun combo. I'm looking forward to maybe trying an old hero new trick deck with those, with like the Raft and Thor. That was a ton of fun. But yeah, the massive multiplayer Loki event was just so well done, and I had a ton of fun with that. And then after that, we had just more open gaming, and we gamed until I think our game ended about like 3 a.m. that night, and then we stayed up talking. I mean, like, it's just cool to be in a room with so many people that are willing to talk about this game for hours. And like the ideas and the deck concepts that came out of just the discussions around the table, or the discussions around dinner, were just fascinating and fantastic. Everyone that I met was just so amazing. I got to play with so many cool people. I wish that this was like a week-long event so I could play with even more people, because it just makes me happy. It just makes me happy. The last day, which was Sunday, was kind of more of an open play type day. I did a Ronin game. I lost in turn 2. I thought I was fine. I was playing the rogue deck, and I bulletproof belled on the attack. I got my tough, and then it was a standard 2 game, and so I drew a total annihilation, or whatever the version of the assault in standard 2 was. Immediately, I had that tough, so I was going to soak it. Boost card gave it piercing, knocked me right out. So that was fun, but got a cool Ronin promo playing it, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, there was just so many cool things. Sunday, the last day, was May 4th, so it was, Star Wars Day. There were like custom Star Wars games going on where I was walking by, people were playing like Luke Skywalker, and it was like, that's just fun and super cool. Yeah, it was a fantastic event. If you are able, or if you are thinking about going, I would highly, highly, highly recommend going. It is so much fun to just go play Marvel Champions and just be in a room where no one's trying to like sell you anything. I was talking to a couple of people about that, and they were talking about how much they enjoyed just like going to a convention, and it wasn't about like buying new stuff. It was about enjoying a game, and it was about just like being with people, and it was just it's a very special time. And so if you are looking about or thinking about going, I would highly recommend checking it out next year. I'm going to do everything in my power to be there next year as well. So yeah, it was a blast. It was just a good time. And so let me know if you have any question about Kind of Heroes. I'm like on this like riding high like excitement train for Marvel Champions and Kind of Heroes right now. So let me know in the comments. I'll answer anything that you have questions about. I'd love to see you at next year's Kind of Heroes 2026. I think it's gonna still be in Minnesota, but when I know, I'll let you all know. Sweet. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time. Peace.